Alrighty, welcome to this new channel. As I wanted to do a quick introductory video to kind of talk about what this channel is going to be focused on, what the purpose of it is, and then you can decide for yourself if it's for you or not, if it's of any use in any way. Hopefully it is. If not, then all good. But if you're not familiar with me through my other channels, that is Crown's Crypto Cave, where I talk about my main line of work, which is trading, or Total Crown, which is a gaming channel, more of like a hobby, or at some later point I'll actually be doing a fitness channel as well. My name is Eric Crown. I'm a career trader, I suppose. I'm more or less retired at this point, although I still do an active YouTube channel as it keeps me busy. And I also find that there's a lot of what's it called? There's a lot of fulfillment from having something to do in life that hopefully helps other people. That that gives value in some way. That also selfishly, altruistically gives value to yourself as well. So I still do that to kind of keep myself busy, and I truly, sincerely enjoy it. But I want to do this channel because I feel like there's a lot of things that I want to talk about on a venue like that are just not really pertinent to it, although it, of course, is related because we're all humans. And that's what this channel is for. Sharing mindsets, sharing philosophy, sharing what's worked for myself and what's not worked for myself. This channel is completely focused on identity, ego, and perspective of philosophy, essentially your view, your lens that you view reality through. And I've come into my life through kind of a unique perspective myself, as I've had, we'll call it like maybe a rocky background, a rocky past in my, especially in my younger years. Kind of had like a rough go at it. Also had some, some advantages as well, which I don't want to discount either. But I think that those unique perspectives have kind of given me a unique view on the world, and also a unique openness to exploring new ideas. And hopefully in this channel I can share the ideas that I've found that have worked best for myself, because I used to be I want to be very clear in this. When I grew up, I grew up in a family that was more or less well off, actually. I never really had to worry about money growing up or anything like that. Although, it's a whole different dynamic with your parents. Maybe a topic for a video later. But once I got into the real world after going to college for 5 years, which was great, a phenomenal experience, although I didn't learn all that much. I quickly realized that I was just a little bitch of the world. And once my parents kind of cut me off, and once I was pretty much on my own, I was able to make it a little bit on my own. I had essentially leveraged one of my connections with a family friend who was in the trading business, and he kind of took me under his wing and taught me what he knew in exchange for my services. And that was a great experience for myself. And for a while, I was actually doing very, very well on my own, trading on my own. And that was up until a point where that philosophical mindset that I was employing at that time kind of fell apart. And that's when I had maybe, I don't know exactly what you want to call it, but a defining experience, if you will. As I was completely broke at that point. I quite literally had $0.00 in my bank account. I mean, I was quite literally in debt in like the deep 20,000s probably at that point. And I had no way of paying it off. I didn't have any, I didn't have an employer. I didn't have, I did have a diploma from a college, but that's pretty much fucking worthless at this point, especially if it's not even a graduate degree. It's just an undergraduate degree in economics and business. So what are you going to do with that? And I also, more importantly, knew that I definitely did not want to work for someone else, although I was at the breaking point where I was applying for jobs for other people because I didn't know what else to do. It was quite a shock for my system when going to, the grocery store for the first time and trying to get food, relatively cheap food at Jewel, if you're familiar with Chicago. It's like a great chain there. I couldn't get it because I put my card in the system and they said, sorry, sir, but this got rejected. Try again. It's like, fuck, I guess I'll just make an excuse and leave out of here with my tail behind my legs. So during that time, I really had nothing but time but to reflect on what had kind of led me into that situation, and then ideally backwards engineer a way out. So well, I did say that I'm essentially retired right now. It wasn't so long ago that I actually had that experience, that I had that experience that I just spoke about, being completely 100% broke. I've actually, I've traveled a good amount of the European world as an American. That's like, that's like the that's like all you can do. No, just kidding. But realistically, I lived a life where I had, I lived on like couches for some times in not so nice countries. I had bounced around to very, very cheap venues because I couldn't really afford anymore. And combining those two experiences with each other, being completely broke, and then also, kind of living the more vagabond lifestyle, I realized very quickly that, when it comes down to money and everything, it's not necessarily money what you're after, it's the mindset that you're after, because your mindset is what is going to produce money or whatever you're really after to begin with. It is your mindset, your view of reality, your philosophical understanding of your interpretation of your experiences that is actually what makes what you're going for possible to begin with. So during that experience, really had to do a lot of reflecting, also a lot of crying, because it's not so fun. It's not so fun if you haven't experienced it yourself, being completely broke and like no one's on your side, getting calls from your parents to, telling you that you're going to be a loser and that you need to do this and that. And your friends telling you, hey man, like, don't really know what you're doing is a good idea. And I can completely understand that, coming from their perspective, they're just looking out for you. They want the best for you as well. But for myself, I knew that I would not be happy doing that, and what I truly wanted to do was to be a trader. And in order to be a trader, I had to let go of one of my former mentalities. I had to let go of my former philosophy of what I knew, of what I thought I knew as a trader, in order to put myself back into the learner's perspective and allow myself to kind of be the bitch of the world, which then in turn allowed myself to finally learn again and be humble enough to accept the realities of trading, which, if you're not familiar with trading, it's kind of like playing cards or gambling in the sense that the edge that you're using is statistics. So at the end of the day, what I kind of had to go through is, if I'm going to play this game of statistics, then there's no being right or wrong for myself. There's no like massive pump up or let down, because, well, over X amount of tries, statistics are statistics, and the more iterations that you go through that, the more and more that you'll see it smooth out over time. So for me, I thought that I'd become better than the market and that I could actually know where it was going, because I had been trained by some of the best traders in the world, and I thought of myself as very good. And most importantly, and perhaps most dubiously, I had some very early successes as well. I was actually doing quite well right out of the gates. But then that whole reality came crashing down when I realized that that I didn't know better, and I had to admit to myself that I did not know better than the market. And so going through that process again and opening up my mind to new ideologies was the over encompassing truth that allowed me to take the next steps towards what I was going for, which was personal financial autonomy. Now, of course, in the future, things can change around. I don't want to make it sound like this is a fucking done story or anything like that. I've lived long enough now to know that that's just not true. I'm in my third decade of life, if you can't tell by the gray hairs, which is terrifying that they come at this young of my life, but whatever, just going to act like it didn't happen. And so a big focus of this channel, like I said, is going to be mindset and perspective. And so that's kind of the perspective that I'm coming from myself. Now, that was years ago now, and it could be that I have another experience like this going on in the future, but this channel is going to be documenting those mindsets, those philosophies that led to that growth, through my younger years, to my college years, to my early young adult life years, to that experience that I just spoke about, and then kind of where I am right now, which is continually evolving over time. And I'm sure that there are going to be ideas that I talk about early on in this channel that will perhaps at a later date be reassessed. Maybe I'll find that I don't believe them anymore. That can certainly happen. It's definitely happened in the past. One of the reasons why I put off this channel for so long is because one of the ideas that I had not necessarily ridden off before, but wasn't convinced on and kind of threw around the wayside, was shoved in my face very violently as of more recent times. That made me realize that that's actually that's actually an idea worth exploring. And I've come to the conclusion now, I've come to the conviction now actually, that that is perhaps one of the most important ideas that I hold to date. So of course, all of these things are going to be explained in depth, in much more depth than I'm going to do on an introductory video like this. But I just want to do a quick video of that sort of, you know, introduction onto what this channel is about, who I am, and where I come from. So with all of that said, I want to again welcome you to this channel, and of course I would like to also say massive appreciation for checking this out. I think with that said, that's a good place to leave it off, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.